Hey everybody. So I'm Kirsten. I picked case study number 4, which is basically about a nurse who gives an antibiotic called Zosyn, which the provider ordered, and then we find out that the patient is allergic to that medicine. It's actually listed in their um, medication in their electronic MAR. So I believe the best person to have this discussion is the physician, but I also believe the nurse should be in the room. Both have a hand in the medical error. They both have knowledge of the situation from a medical standpoint. And although the nurse may be knowledgeable, the provider may have a clear understanding of what comes next in the patient's care. On the other hand, while the provider is knowledgeable and may be better equipped to handle some of the more physical aspects of care, they are more likely it's more likely that the nurse will be able to have a better support system, better relationship with the patient because she's been working closely with them, and can explain the situation also after the physician leaves. So it's vital that she kind of has all the information that the provider might explain to the patient. She can also help assist in a smoother transition to ICU, since they're the ones that will be doing the handoff. So if I were the physician at the bedside, I would walk in, sit in front of the patient, and I would kind of state the following. I'd say, Mrs. Smith, can you explain to me your understanding of what's happening to your physical condition right now? Uh, Based off the information that Mrs. Smith provides, it seems like she knows she had a severe allergic reaction to a medication. She knows she's better now, but she also knows that she has to go to the ICU for closer monitoring. So, as the provider, I would explain to her that, yes, Mrs. Smith, you are having an allergic reaction to a medicine called Zosyn. You're stable, and we will closely monitor you in our ICU to assure you stay stable. But I want to apologize. We have now determined that this medicine, which was ordered by myself and then given to you by your nurse, was a mistake, as you were previously found to be allergic to the drug called penicillins, and this medicine is a penicillin drug. At this point, that's all I know. But I can assure you that we're going to dig further into the situation to figure out how this could have happened, as well as make sure it doesn't happen to you or anybody else ever again. I will be checking in on you as often as I can to update you about any additional information that we find. And I just wanted to see if I could offer you any resources to speak to kind of support you during this time. For example, we have very helpful chaplains who are available to talk to. At this point, Mrs. Smith is probably experiencing a very wide array of emotions. She states in the information provided that she feels grateful for the care that she's getting. So she may continue to be grateful for the fact that we as the providers were honest and open, or her gut reaction could be to be sad because she, is physically ill now more so than she was because the providers that have been providing such great care are actually the ones that led to this reaction because of this mistake. So I would continue at this point to kind of let Mrs. Smith voice, some of her feelings and, uh, again, tell Mrs. Smith, I am sorry. Once again, I just want to see if you have any further questions or concerns. And depending on her response, kind of depends on what I would say. If she's, concerned about how this transfer is going to work or, may need a little bit more support, I would, refer her to the nurse in the room. If she's concerned about the finances, I can get her questions to our risk management department. They typically are involved in this regardless, because they handle some of these scenarios. And it may even be helpful to consider them having them in the room with me or nearby, or even consult them before I even disclose the mistake so they're in the loop. Again, I would, apologize to Mrs. Smith and inform her that either myself or someone else in the healthcare system will be updating you daily with any further knowledge that we may gain about this situation. And as her provider, regardless of whether or not I'm the nurse, the physician, the pharmacist that didn't get to check the allergy, I would feel guilty throughout this whole scenario. Both providers missed the allergy. Both are supposed to be checks. This is a great example of the Swiss cheese model. Um, but it's, an easy thing that happens and it's an unfortunate mistake. So as providers, we want nothing more to help people. So when we're the ones that cause the issue, we feel like we both failed. Um, I would also feel relief because the patient, regardless of our mistake, is at least stable. And depending on Mrs. Smith's reaction and the culture of my establishment as a whole, I may be scared because of getting reprimanded for the mistake. Personally, I try and drive the idea that like mistakes happen because of process problems, not people problems. But I know, there's this underlying thought somewhere in my career that someone told me that I should never apologize for being late with a med or something along those lines. I think this was kind of ingrained in me because although I may be late, the patient's never going to really understand why or how I'm late. They're never going to know what my day is like. So why even bother apologizing? And I wonder now if, you know, really improving the culture of the hospital and really putting it out there that these are people, process problems and not people problems, and it kind of explaining that to my patients that, I am sorry, but this is what was going on. I was in another room assisting a patient. I apologize, couldn't get here sooner. I'll try and make sure we plan a little bit better in the future. Something along those lines. I feel like that actually might be better received by my patients, and they may be a little quicker to be understanding in the future or in another admission, versus just going in there and pretending like nothing happened. Thanks, guys.